So as you could see, I changed not only the positioning of my microphones, I actually changed how close one of the microphones was. Hello there girls and boys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna show you a plugin that in my opinion is revolutionizing and changing the entire game when it comes to creating and crafting guitar tones in the box. I'm talking about the Celestion speaker cabinet plugin developed by the fine people at Softube. And this is basically speaking a plugin that allows you to recreate the tone of a cabinet speaker for guitar or bass. And you might be saying, what would be the difference between this and traditional IRs? Well, the difference lies on the fact that you can actually create and move around the microphones used on the recording process, and also allows you to come up with stuff such as changing the magnet and the size of the speaker and the shape of the cabinet. So you can come up with monstrosities such as at 24 by 8. Yeah, you can do something as insane as that and come up with a sound that might work or might not. But it doesn't stop there. It also has an stereo feature, and the best part is that it allows you to create your own tone. And this is what I think it sets it apart from traditional IRs, because the problem with IRs, in my opinion, is that now that they are so popular because they do work, they are super effective, everybody is buying the same IRs from the same guys, and everybody is crafting their tones based on the same IRs, the same captures. And if you don't know what an IR is, it's basically speaking, they capture the behavior of an amplifier, or if I put it correctly, of a speaker running through a particular set of parameters such as microphones, room and ambience and blah blah blah. And they capture that, and that it could be used as a way to enhance the tone of a modeler, guitar plugin, or a Kemper profiler in that sense, like Tonex or Kemper itself. They are great, they're super effective. The thing is that they are way too good, and everybody does them and everybody uses them, and now, in my opinion, the whole concept has become overused. But this plugin allows you to come up with your own tones, and that's super cool, so it's time to rock and roll and see this bad boy in action. But before we go, if this is your first time on the channel, I welcome you, because in here I show you every single thing I do in order to create, write, produce, and of course perform my music live, because I know that making a living as a professional musician is not a dream, it's a possibility. And if I can do it, of course you can do it. With that being said, let's get into it. So welcome back girls and boys to Logic Pro X. In front of us we got the project that I'm gonna use to show you how this Celestion plugin works. The first thing that I'm gonna show you, of course, is the plugin itself. And here it's in all its fantastic speaker-like glory. And I know it looks kinda daunting, but believe me, it's kinda easy to understand. So I'm gonna run you through the features and the whole setup and how it works quickly. So over here we got, of course, the speakers, and yes, as you can see, this guy can behave as a stereo pair. More on that later. But the first thing that you gotta notice is this section over here. Here's where you can select the different speakers, comprised from all of these different options coming from the guitar collection, from the Vintage 30 to the Celestion Blue, and also you got 3 options when it comes to bass speakers. That's pretty badass. Over here as well, we got the speaker or the cone projection or graphic, and here is where you can actually position, move around, and get close or far away the microphone that you selected underneath. More on that a few minutes ahead. Over here you also got the size of the diameter of the speakers. Super important, girls and boys, because when it comes to the size, it does matter in this case, and also the shape and the kind of speaker you're using, because believe it or not, when it comes to guitar tone, one of the most imperative aspects, or one of the aspects of the whole rig that changes and shapes the form and the way your guitar sounds, is the speaker itself and its size. You will see later on. Then we got a very interesting section over here, which is the age of our speaker, because in this case you can actually select the sound of a brand new, just out of the box speaker, or something that is being used and worn out for a while. In my opinion, both of them have had their places, but I always gravitate towards a much more run-down speaker, because there is something about it. It's a little bit darker, and actually you will see the differences. And also you can apply distortion to the speaker in the form of some form of damage, wear and tear if you wish, and it actually makes a huge difference. And also you can set the impedance of your speaker. So up until this point, I think we already understand the interface, so I'm gonna show you a little bit of the sound of the guitar as it is. So as you could see, I changed not only the positioning of my microphones, I actually changed how close one of the microphones was. And as you can see over here in this area, you got a mixer that is quite self-explanatory. In here, you can tell if you are rocking a selection of different microphones. For example, in here, I got a Ribbon 121, which if you know, you know. And over here, I got a Dynamics 57, which if you know, you do know. When it comes to microphones, and they are quite well represented. Also, you have access to a plethora of different options over here in the mixer, which is of course a muting option, a solo, which you saw me using, a polarity switch in case you want to get that kind of off-axis tone, which is actually a good technique from time to time, and a particularly effective button over here, which is a face alignment function. As it is right now, only one of them is set as being effective. The thing is that it won't do any form of changes to the sound. Why? Because both of them have to be active. This allows you to have a third option, for example, and have that one out a little bit out of axis. That means that the phase coherency between the microphones it's gonna be equal or different. Normally speaking, and when you are talking about recording in the real world, it's very hard to have 100% phase coherency. So in a much more realistic scenario, I would have them slightly off, if not off the whole time. But it's a sound. Let me show you. Right now, they are now together. In this case, it actually sounds better when both of them are phase aligned. And it's not surprising that you're getting a perceived louder sound, if that makes sense to you. It feels louder. In reality, it's just coherent phase-wise. And without going down the rabbit hole of physics and stuff, it usually gives you a more present and more directed sound. That's why it depends on the source. So it's a great option, and in this case, it's delivering. Now, over here, let me show you this section. This is actually quite nitty-gritty and kind of nerdy, because in here you can select the different size, not the size, the different kind of magnets that are part of the sound of your speaker, or driving the speaker, if I use a much better terminology, and you can change the type of component or the type of material used for the speaker itself. Let me run you through the different options. You got neodymium, ferrite amp, ferrite edge, alnico, which are different alloys of materials that creates this magnetic field. And in here you can actually boost or underpower the magnet, giving you different sounds. I'm gonna press play, and I'm gonna be switching between the different options, and then play around with the boost feature. Here we go. Cool, right? This allows you to come up with a very personalized tone. And it doesn't stop there. The next section is what I think is the biggest asset that this software has to offer. Over here we got a cabinet. Or if I put it correctly, we can select a different size for the cabinet that we're rocking at this time. Because right now we're listening to this guitar track coming out of 1x12 cabinet speaker. How do I know it's a 1x12? Well, clearly because I set my speaker size over here to be a 12 inches speaker. And right now we are rocking a one by, well, you get me, right? It's a one speaker cabinet. So I'm gonna be switching around. I'm gonna press play once again, just for you to have an idea of how impactful the size and the shape of the cabinet affects the tone of your guitar. Look at that, we're rocking right now an 8x12 cabinet speaker. That's not a normal size for a guitar speaker, but that's common for bass guitars. Usually it's 8x10, but you get me. So this is very cool because you can actually come up with a stupid combinations such as, I don't know, let's do something very, very dramatic, basically speaking a PA, 8x24, and see how it gets. This is actually it's a very good learning experience because you can actually see the impact, and having accessed or having worked with different speaker sizes myself and recorded them, I can tell you that this is very, very accurate. They have those characteristics. The bigger the speaker becomes, the more low-end energy or presence you get, but you lose a lot of definition, and the smaller it becomes, more brittle it gets, but also more directed. Of course, 8 inches, it's gonna give you that boxy tone that it's not necessarily pleasing for a lead guitar tone, at least in this kind of high gain setting. The best, it's of course the 12 inches, but that's the tried and true formula, okay? And also, I'm gonna take you back to the one speaker because that's the origin of this tone, but this is a final option that this thing has to offer. You can select the cabinet to be open back, or closed back. We've been rocking the closed back the entirety of the time. I'm just gonna briefly show you the sound of the open. A little bit looser, a little bit less directed, but gets a lot of air, right? A little bit more of the high-end energy. Now over here, final section. We got a very nice room tone, which is basically speaking a very, very subtle reverb sound, and it sounds like this. I'm gonna push it all the way to wet. This is great because it's allowing the guitar to feel a little bit more natural, and that's something that IR tends to, of course, not be capable of because, well, it's just an IR. It's not the whole suite that this thing is. It also comes with its own controls for the microphones used for the room sound, and also you got access to a very super simple, short in functions but effective equalizer. Super cool. Now, when it comes to the stereo features, you can actually, for example, select one of these guys over here. I'm gonna set this guy to center, and then I'm gonna select the speaker shaper to be mono to stereo. Now we would be able to spread the guitar sound into two different outputs. Let's see, here we go. And yes, just as you saw it, using the panning knobs on your inside of the plugin itself, you're able to select which microphones goes to which side and which ones are not or centered. Very good, and basically that's it. As you can see, this is a very comprehensive plugin, and it comes with everything you need to create badass guitar sounds. So there you have it, girls and boys. What do you think? I think this plugin is fantastic. It simply works, and it's very, very, very effective. It's simple to use, and it gets the job done. But tell me what do you think about it in the comment section down below, and if you got any more suggestions or questions regarding guitar tone or music production in general, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. As usual, girls and boys, if you'd like to support this channel, the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by following us on social media such as Instagram, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Now, girls and boys, as every single time that I meet you, I gotta remind you something. Never, ever, ever let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I'll see you when I see you.